another edition of our Wrestling Pulse. I'm my partner Ryan. I'm J-Man. This edition of the Pulse is going to give you our TNA Bound for Glory 2012 preview coming this Sunday on pay-per-view. Obviously, TNA's biggest pay-per-view of the year, live from Phoenix, Arizona. Really looking forward to this, and we're going to run down the card for you. Before we get into this, we're shooting this before Impact. There's talk that they might add some more matches here. There's still some names that haven't been on the card, so we'll figure that out going into Sunday, but this is what we got going in to Sunday for the pay-per-view. First matchup, we have the Knockouts title on the line when champion Miss Tessmacher goes up against Tara. Obviously, they had a couple weeks ago Tara turn on Tessmacher after their match at the pay-per-view, that kind of teacher-student BS, and they had Tara turn on her. Tessmacher's had the title for a couple months now. I can't really remember, 3 or 4 months, something like that. So I'm going to go with Tara getting the title here. I really don't. All this really doesn't really matter to me. It really make much sense in the long run because, I mean, putting the title on Tara is kind of useless if you're just going to keep it on a younger, girl like Tessmacher, but giving it to Tara with the whole heel run. Who knows what they could do with that? But it just doesn't make any sense back-to-back pay-per-views in a row, have her win clean, face-face, and then have her go into the next pay-per-view and flip Tara heel and then keep it on Tara or Tessmacher again and do all that unnecessary stuff with Tara and not, have an end game to it. It really makes no sense. So I'm going to go with Tara getting the title here.
Yeah, this is an interesting little situation here. From what I've heard and from what a lot of people are saying, Bruce Pritchard behind the scenes is not a huge fan of women's wrestling. He doesn't see the point in it at all. And you can really tell since he's been there the last, several months, that you can see that the women's wrestling division or the Knockouts division in TNA hasn't really mattered that much. I mean, just Tessmacher's a champion. They haven't really ran any, extremely, interesting storylines. They did the thing with, Madison Rayne and the referee deal, but, they haven't done a thing where, two women's wrestlers are going at it, and they finally decided to do something here with this teacher-student deal, and I don't know, it seems kind of overhashed and overused, but I think Tara probably should get the win here just because, Miss Tessmacher going in here. There's really, if that's it, this is supposed to be the women's match at Bound for Glory or whatever, they should have some kind of outcome other than Miss Tessmacher getting the win. They may let her just win to, get her over here, but it would make more sense for Tara to probably get the win here and continue this feud. But I'm going to go with Tara winning.
Next up, we have Joey Ryan going up against Al Snow. If Joey Ryan gets the win in this match, he finally gets his TNA contract. With all the stuff that's been happening over the past couple months or so with the whole gut check thing and Joey Ryan getting his opportunity and then kind of making an angle out of it where he didn't get his contract and kind of doing the whole 87% thing and going after Al Snow and going after Taz and all this stuff. It's been entertaining. I'm a fan of Joey Ryan. I think his stuff in the Indies is entertaining. His character is entertaining as hell. And I see Joey Ryan somehow getting a contract here. If he gets the win over Al Snow, whatever they do, some sort of cheap something, because that's kind of how Joey Ryan would probably get the win in this matchup. But I see in the end Joey Ryan getting the contract here. This should be interesting because it's just, you see Bound for Glory, biggest card of the year, and a match with Joey Ryan and Al Snow. It's just random as hell. But I see Joey Ryan getting his TNA contract, and that will make me very happy.
Yeah. I actually really enjoy this. This is actually really funny, I'm not expecting a great match, but I expect this to be quite entertaining between these two. I know Al Snow can, obviously work even in his old age probably. And Joey Ryan's always been a pretty good worker and really entertaining in the ring. I love how, they've done all these gut checks throughout the year and none of the people that have actually got contracts have actually done anything on the show. And then you get Joey Ryan who hasn't done anything. Pretty much, we don't really know for sure if this originally started as a storyline or, it built into a storyline because Joey Ryan, went for what he wanted. We really don't know for sure what's going on with this, but the fact that Joey Ryan's on Bound for Glory, which is TNA's, WrestleMania, is really, really awesome. I think that's a really cool move, and I think if he ends up winning here, he goes on to the next week and it automatically becomes, an on-television personality. Yeah. If he doesn't wrestle all the time, I'm sure he's, doing something. Unlike the other people who are already signed, who are doing
I'd like to see people name the winners so far of the Bound for Glory, the
redheaded chick, and I can't remember the other guy's name.
It's fucking stupid.
Sylvia or Sylvan
something, and then name the people who didn't get the opportunities because they pimped it. They showed promos. They showed who they were. The background. I don't remember any of them.
I can't remember any of the names of the people.
Nope. Just outstanding there.
Yep.
Next up, we have the TNA television title on line when champion Samoa Joe goes up against his former partner Magnus. This one could be pretty interesting. I would see these guys can both work. Samoa Joe, one of the best workers in the industry for the past 10 years now. And the only thing I don't want to see kind of a trap, almost like a football game, a trap game here with a great team going up against a kind of subpar team, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, don't do that. It's like you think they could throw Joe in there to almost put over Magnus and give him the title here or whatever they want to do, and they've kind of been doing this thing where they kind of been working off each other. Obviously the tag partners, they turned on each other and all this kind of stuff. And I don't want to see them start to use Samoa Joe like one of those, even though he is one of those veteran guys that is just kind of passing stuff on and helping other guys out. He's still one of the best workers in the business today, and just give him this title. He's been just destroying people since he's had the title. It's been great to see. It's a breath of Samoa Joe fresh air, because we haven't seen it in a very long time where he's been out there being Samoa Joe. So I hope they keep the title on Joe here. To flip it to Magnus, either way, it's almost, they're still heel, so it's a weird fucking dynamic here where nobody's really going to care if you're that kind of casual fan unless you're a fan of Samoa Joe, which is what I think most of the people are going to be going for. The crowd will be probably heavily behind Samoa Joe. So I think it'd be a great move to keep the title on Joe here, and what could be a decent little matchup here.
Yeah, I think it would be decent here, and I think Samoa Joe's the kind of like a CM Punk type heel. As much as he plays that bad guy, he's heavily over in either way, and this could be a good, decent match here. And I'm not really expecting a lot out of this, but I do expect Joe to retain. I don't think Magnus. I've heard several different things about Magnus leaving and this and that and yada yada. Who knows what the deal is with this? But the fact that Joe has a title here, I think TNA should run Samoa Joe like WWE's running Daniel Bryan right now. Let him go out there and just have a good time, and Daniel Bryan has a title, Samoa Joe has a title. Just let him go out there and just do something, and let him have some fun, and let the fans, see what he can, really. I mean, what you've seen on the indies from him, the wrestling matches, yada yada. That's the wrestling stuff, but let Joe go out there and just beat just let Joe go out there and be like Ryback. Just go out there and just beat the shit out of people, because that's what people like seeing Joe do. Yeah. So
basically, let Joe be Joe.
Basically. Yeah, basically let him,
let him be
instead of going out there and I mean, he always has that killer instinct and that killer mentality, but he ends up losing to people like Matt Morgan and
like getting submitted by Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy, yeah. It's just like his believability has just heavily dropped. So this title, right here, and let him go out there and do something. Obviously, the fans like him being on TV with it. Yeah. It's a good move. I think Joe wins.
Next up, we have the triple threat tag match for the TNA tag titles, featuring the World Tag Team Champions of the World, the Fallen Angels, Christopher Daniels and Kaz, going up against the phenomenal AJ Styles and Kurt Angle and Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez. My boy Chavito. We have not got to talk about Chavo on any of these shows that we've been on. One of my boys, one of the most underrated wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling. I'm really looking forward to this one. Obviously, we've seen the great stuff that Daniels and Kaz and AJ and Angle has done over the past couple months. They're still probably one of the best tag matches, if not the best tag match of the year, at Slammiversary this year, which was outstanding. And then throwing in Hernandez and Chavo, that kind of veteran with the kind of not really newer guy in Hernandez, but it's kind of sad to see the kind of, hey, we're going to have this Mexican wrestler and we're going to put him with another Mexican wrestler, because people relate to that. But it works out, and I think they're doing pretty well. And as they get in the ring more, they'll have more chemistry. And Chavo obviously has shown in the past with Eddie and the former tag partners he's been with. He's a great tag competitor as well. This one's pretty tough. It was tough for Ryan as well to pick this one. I'm going to go with AJ and Angle getting the win in this match. It really didn't make much sense for them to get the win at Slammiversary, but they did, just because it's kind of that big card, and they obviously favor the faces when it comes to bigger shows, just like a WrestleMania you kind of see. But I'm going to go with AJ and Angle in this one as well, and I really expect this one to be a shining point on this card. I really just don't see it going to, with the retain to Daniels and Kaz. They've had these title runs, they lose it and keep it, but they've had toward a significant run where you look at them as they're the tag team champions, so they've had that run to where you figure that out. To me, if they give it to Chavo and Hernandez, people will just be questioning, why didn't you just give it to AJ and Angle? If you're going to give it to a face team, just give it to the better face team and the more known face team and AJ and Angle. But whatever they do out of this, it should be some good stuff, and I'm going to go with phenomenal AJ Styles and Kurt Angle to get the win.
Yeah, there's a couple different angles you look at this, different things you can think of. I think if they give it to AJ and Angle, you got to look at them being a long-term tag team, and I don't know if that's something they are going to run with. I think after Bound for Glory, I think they they split as a tag team and they go on and start doing single stuff again. I don't really see them continuing as a tag team, so I don't really know if they're going to give them the titles here because it would be stupid for them to have them again and then lose the titles again on like a show or a pay-per-view again. So it'd be dumb to kind of do that. I think, and then you have, obviously Daniels and Kaz who are playing that, heel team that, wins by any means necessary. I don't know. It almost makes sense if they're trying to build a new tag team. They throw it on Chavo and Hernandez just to have it. Give Chavo something to work with, and obviously he's working with Hernandez. I think they could build off of maybe Hernandez and Chavo facing Kaz and Daniels, and then I think because it just seems like to me Angle and AJ are gonna after Bound for Glory are gonna split up and go on. Usually after Bound for Glory, they
that's what I hope for. I hope for they don't win the tag titles.
Yeah,
They split up.
They split up and go on and do some other stuff, and usually go on to different storylines and stuff right after Bound for Glory and different things and such. But who knows? But I'm gonna go with Chavo and Hernandez here. I think they maybe want to try to build up a new team here.
Yep. Next up, we have the long-anticipated matchup between the Aces and Eights and Team TNA, whatever the hell you want to call it, featuring Sting and Bully Ray. If the Aces and Eights win, they will receive full access to the Impact Zone. Full access. Now, do they get full access to Universal Studios? Do they get to ride the rides?
I'm pretty sure on any given day we go down to Universal Studios, we will see 1 to 6 members of Aces and Eights.
Like full masks, full
walking around. I think they
gear.
Yeah, I think they walk around with like a thing 1, thing 2,
yes.
thing 3.
So they know who they are.
Yeah.
They share cotton candy and ride the Harry Potter ride.
Yeah, it looks like that's what the deal is. They wait outside until it's
right.
Crack open.
So they'll get full access to the fucking Florida inbred fucking Impact Zone. And if Sting and Bully Ray win, Aces and Eights will leave TNA forever. Yes, this Aces and Eights angle is finally probably going to culminate in this matchup here. We've seen it over the past couple months or so, bringing in this angle with this faction, the Sons of Impact, as I like to call it, and terrorizing Hulk Hogan and his daughter and Sting and everybody in Impact, and really focusing on everyone, the kind of conjoined TNA having to fight against Aces and Eights. The only thing is last week's Impact, and to me, TNA does this every time they do these kind of reveals, or they do these, things where it's going to be, okay, we're going to get to this point, then we're going to finally figure out what's going on, and who's the head of it, or who, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They'll do little hints right before they get to it, and they've done this numerous other times, where they get to it, and then you're like, you kind of gave it away. And that's really what I kind of felt like when the entire angle went down with, they were going to pick Anderson as a partner, and you had him knocked out, and then you had Bully Ray come out, and hey man, I'm here for TNA. I'm one of the biggest heels in the company, but I'm going to be here for that. That's why I full-heartedly believe that Bully Ray is going to be a big factor in the Aces and Eights. That's just my feeling. I don't know if he's going to be the leader of it. I don't know what he's going to do, but I see Bully Ray somehow turning on Sting in this matchup to give Aces and Eights the win in this matchup. And whether he's going to be the head wrestling guy of it, whether they want to bring in Bischoff to be the kind of head of it, or they want to bring in somebody to be the head of it, to me it just looked just blatantly obvious, just what they've done over the past couple weeks, and it finally just like boom, it's like, they're not going to do something different, they're going to have something to where it's like, alright, that looked pretty damn predictable that, you're going to see that coming in, because it's just, he's shown no. You look at the things that happened at the pay-per-view. You saw Jeff Hardy get knocked out going into Bully Ray's matchup at the pay-per-view, and Bully Ray getting right there. He's like, Jeff's hurt, and he's going down there, and he finally Jeff Hardy got the win over Bully Ray. You see him get knocked out, Bully Ray wanting to be so badly Sting's partner when really he's shown no care of any of them. So I mean, to me, it looks really predictable that Bully Ray is going to be somehow part of Aces. It fits his character, obviously. So it'll really work here for that if they want to do that. But that's why I see Aces and Eights getting the win in this matchup. I see a Bully Ray turn on Sting somehow, but whether the whole reveal is he's a leader or somebody else is the leader and he's the main kind of wrestling leader of it, whether it is. But I'm going to go with Aces and Eights getting the win here.
Yeah, completely agree with that. I think that I like the idea of Bully Ray being the leader of Aces and Eights. I think, he's a great mouthpiece. He's become a really good worker over the last year and really, like he said, reinvented his career and done a lot of different things that are really enjoyable. And I think, other than trying to give Bully Ray the title, which I think TNA is afraid to do, the next big thing is, heading him of a faction that's been a major part of TNA. I know when Devon was supposed to re-sign or whatever, he changed his mind. He turned it down and left. Bully Ray was also planning on re-signing and he wasn't quite sure if he was going to. I think, a big ploy to keep him around because I think TNA knew that Bully Ray was an intricate part of TNA right now with all the things he's doing. They thought of, okay, well, we got this Aces and Eights thing going on, let's how are we going to figure this out? Maybe we'll just have Bully Ray be the... And they kept hinting at it possibly, and they had him get beat down by a couple times by Aces and Eights, but they always do this stuff to make it look like whatever, who's this. I love the idea of Bully Ray being the leader here, and I think it's an interesting possible turn of events. Don't really know how it ends up, but...
And I really think one of the big thing is I think TNA is scared to give him the title for one reason. I think the casual fan and the TNA fans don't really believe that. I think if you put him at the head of Aces and Eights, who's been destroying all TNA, destroying the world champion and all that kind of stuff, you put him in the head of that brings the bar up for him as well when it comes to that kind of level.
Sometimes, you just need a little bit of something to get you up there, and I think if he becomes the leader of Aces and Eights, they continue with this little deal. He gets in there and they become this group and yada yada yada. Yeah. He's headlining this and that. I could definitely see a possible main event feud with him and whoever's the champion at the time. And this is interesting. I'm gonna say Aces and Eights win here, and hopefully we do get exactly what we said because as much as it is predictable, I like the idea of it.
Yeah. Next up, we have the street fight between James Storm and Bobby Roode with Special Enforcer King Mo. I could have just erased that last part because I don't give a shit about it. He thinks he's Floyd Money Mayweather coming out with this fucking thing, and man, I'm a boxer, MMA fighter coming into a wrestling company, so I need to duplicate exactly what Floyd Mayweather does and come out in his little gear and rap song and chains and shit, and I guess that's all of them. I don't really know. I could give a shit about King Mo being involved with this. They want to get him on the card. Whatever. It's all about James Storm and Bobby Roode and, their amazing feud and their amazing chemistry that they've had. And having this street fight is exactly what I wanted. I wanted something where it was a no DQ street fight, whatever you're kind of going to get out of that, because that's where both these guys thrive in. That's what we've seen in the great tag matches they've had, individual matches they've had. They thrive in this. And I'm really looking forward to this one. And you really have... it was a natural kind of build to this matchup. You had the flipping of the titles and all this kind of stuff, and you had that kind of gradual build, and I think they built it up pretty well. They could have kind of hit at it here and there a little bit more, but they really didn't because they had to hit it at some other stuff. But whether or not, really looking forward to this one. This should be really great stuff, and I'm going to go with James Storm getting the win here and kind of culminating this feud, whatever you want to say, with the win here in the street fight at Bound for Glory.
Yeah. This is going to be some great stuff here. As long as they don't get King Mo involved in doing some random nonsense. This is exactly what I think a lot of people wanted. I think a lot of people thought this was going to main event for a title, and it still could have possibly done that. But I don't really think this feud needed a title. I really think that the way it was built, it made a lot of sense, and the fact that you have Austin Aries as your champion going into your big pay-per-view is a really big step for TNA, and so I think this is you look at this being this, and then obviously the title match being obviously the double main event of the show, or I guess whatever you want to call it. This could really show up and be definitely the match of the night. I know the cage match was pretty good, and obviously the crowd really hurt that match, but obviously this is great. This is a built-up feud that is going to culminate at a pay-per-view. TNA likes to have matches and then have, the outcome of what happens lead into the next pay-per-view. This is the culmination. This is a big deal, and this is going to end up, finishing it. And I think this is where, finally they get this right for once here. And like I said, hopefully King Mo doesn't get involved. I'm going to go James Storm winning here. I think it makes the most sense. James Storm getting his vengeance on Bobby Roode.
Yep. Next matchup, we have the main event for the TNA World Title featuring champion Austin Aries going up against the Bound for Glory Series winner Jeff Hardy. I'm really looking forward to this one. As we've talked about going into this pay-per-view, you really need to get Jeff Hardy. If you're going to get him in the main event for the World Title, you need to get him in there with a guy that's going to make his ass work. And Austin Aries is a guy that's going to make him work, a lot like an AJ Styles had, Kurt Angle had, all those guys that you get him in there with that it's like, all right, it's time to step your damn game up. Jeff, and this is the time where you need to do it. And Austin Aries will not let Jeff Hardy kind of lackluster around here that we've seen in other main event matches. He'll make his ass work if he's going to get in here and make this a quality main event, which Austin Aries, does nothing less than get quality main events out of guys. Austin Aries, obviously, we just have to mention just how outstanding his title run has been. It just kind of goes without saying just how amazing it is that he's the TNA World Champion and has been since July, going on 4 or 5 months, whatever it is now. Outstanding title run, has been putting on great matches and just been exactly what we've always said he was going into, not even being in TNA. When we see him before, it's the same stuff you're getting throughout Austin Aries' entire career, just quality, great stuff. And Jeff Hardy, really, I just have to mention he's really stepped his game up, and he's not seen that typical, all right, he's getting to the top and then he just falls on his ass, which we haven't got fully to that point yet, but he's been there, and he's been providing some pretty quality stuff and really hasn't, as I said, fallen on his ass yet, but we'll see. As for a winner, unfortunately, I'm going to go with Jeff Hardy getting the win here. As I said, kind of that big moment, they want to have that thing, but really, it's been kind of weird how Aries has kind of been playing that tweener role where he's been kind of playing the heel against Hardy, but in other phases he's face. But I would love to see him play the more heel role and let Hardy be the full, getting all the fucking love from the crowd and everybody, and Aries really, getting that heel heat. But a lot of people are still going to be on Aries. But I really think if you really want to cement Jeff Hardy's already cemented as that kind of top guy. He could go to WWE right now and be in a top-tier, WrestleMania match. We've seen it before when he was back there. He's one of those big stars in the entire wrestling business. But Austin Aries is still one of those guys, that still needs to get to that point. And he was talking about it in all the promos. I want to get to that point because I'm, overall quality and what I produce should be up to that point. A lot like what CM Punk said before he just took off for the past year or so. To where he knows how good he is, but everybody else isn't kind of realizing it except for the people that obviously realize it. But to get Aries to that point, if he got a win here, would be, a definitely step up to, get him to that point. Because I think he's there with kind of us and those kind of fans that know about all those kind of guys. But to the casual fan, everybody's going to be like, Jeff Hardy will win this match because it's, Jeff Hardy. He'll get the win here. But I am going to unfortunately go with Hardy here, but I think if you really want to cement Austin Aries, because I think he's obviously one of the best workers in the world, but to make him that kind of superstar, everybody knows about it kind of name, I think getting a win here over Jeff Hardy would be outstanding, but I'm going to go with Jeff Hardy getting the win in this matchup.
Yeah, I definitely think it's, you look at, Jeff had been planning on leaving. He had a lot of bills stacking up apparently, and was planning on trying to get back to WWE, make a possibly a bigger paycheck heading in, back to WWE or something like that. And I know that they're throwing all kinds of different things at him right now, trying to get him to stay. One of the bigger names in all of wrestling still is Jeff Hardy, and I think this is a ploy to get him to stay, and I definitely think it's. It has to win here. It just doesn't seem like they would do anything less than let him win the title.
And you got that. You also, I forgot to mention. Yeah. Don't want to interrupt you. You still got that whole redemption kind of angle where he came back around last year's Bound for Glory, and everybody was doubting that he could get back. So that whole year-long redemption kind of thing you got on, which will be probably something Tenay and Taz will probably mention if he gets the win here as well.
Yeah, definitely how he came from that downfall and making his way back to the top. I expect the crowd for this match to be outrageous. I think Jeff Hardy is extremely loved by the fans, and Austin Aries has an extremely heavy fan base. Also, whether he's heel or face, that's part of the reason I think he got to where he was. The backstage people started realizing, this guy's got something. The fans are really behind this guy. And, it's going to be, let's go Aries, let's go Hardy. It's going to be a really hopefully good crowd in Phoenix, and they do a good job with really building this. Yeah. But I expect this to be real good here, and Aries bringing it out of Hardy. But I think Hardy's got to get the win here. I think they're going to give it to him, so he ends up staying.
Yep. This one I'll wrap up our TNA Bound for Glory 2012 preview, and be sure to check out our review after the pay-per-view Sunday. For my partner Ryan, I'm J-Man, and thank you for watching another edition of Pro Wrestling Pulse, the pulse of the professional wrestling world.